On a warm June night in 1947, celebrity mobster Benjamin Bugsy Siegel lay lifeless in a Beverly Hills mansion. His dream barely finished, his enemies already circling like vultures. Before the smoke had cleared in Beverly Hills, rivals had stormed his Flamingo resort and taken the reins. No mourning, no delay, just business. Hello out there, I hope we're all well. My air is out and it's 95 degrees here and it's ultra hot in this room with all these lights, so I feel disgusting with all this makeup on, but we're powering through. You know, week after week, I realize that the most fascinating tropes you could think of are found in the underworld. Also, I don't know if trope is the correct word here, but for lack of a better term. There are tragic love stories, conspiracies, murder mysteries. Today we discuss the latter. Who pulled the trigger that night? Was it betrayal from within the mob or something darker buried in the glitz and greed of America's most infamous city? This is the tale of the unsolved murder of Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. So, same disclaimer that I made in the Las Vegas video. I know that Ben Siegel hated the nickname Bugsy, but for the sake of simplicity and because that's what everyone knows him as, that is what we are going to call him. In 1947, it seems Bugsy Siegel is on top of the world. The casino resort he owned in Las Vegas, aka the Flamingo, is thriving. He had a beautiful girlfriend who was an actress. He was untouchable. But only 3 months later, all of his legacies and his luxuries would be reduced to dust. Now, how did we get here? Well, to this day, nobody knows for sure. But let me set the scene and then we'll take a look at who could have possibly done it. Bugsy Siegel was born in February 1906 and grew up in Brooklyn, New York, where he had a few very important friends, Mo Sedway, Meyer Lansky, and Lucky Luciano. And Bugsy was known for having a very violent temper. That's where he got his nickname. Apparently it was like an old-timey nickname for crazy. So they had all been involved in the bootlegging trade back in Prohibition, as a lot of mobsters were. But like we talked about in the Las Vegas video, once Prohibition was over, they needed a new way to make money. So around 1936-37, the police are keeping a very watchful eye on Bugsy. He was very violent and, by the way, murdered a lot of people, so of course they were. So he and Mo Sedway fled to Los Angeles to build a mob presence there, and this is where Bugsy becomes really well known in Hollywood circles. I mean, he was rich, handsome, had access to vice, and eventually a really pretty actress girlfriend. But shortly after, in 1942, Bugsy turned his attention to Las Vegas now that gambling was legalized. And in December 1946, he opened his own casino resort, the Flamingo, after allegedly forcing the original developer out of the project. The opening event was huge. It was 3 days long, and a bunch of celebrities came, including Judy Garland. But they were greeted with construction noise and a bunch of drop cloths draped in the lobby. So very, not glamorous. So the hotel portion of the resort was not yet finished, which really caused the Flamingo to struggle in its early days. But there was a much bigger problem surrounding the resort. So the original budget was $1.2 million, but under Bugsy's direction, it shot up to $6 million. And guess whose money he was using? Yeah, the mob's. And when you mess around with the mob's money, there will be consequences. So they became convinced that Bugsy, or maybe his actress girlfriend Virginia Hill, had embezzled about $1 million of that money, and they were not happy. Now, what we know for sure happened is this. People that were around Bugsy in May or June say that he was very worried about the Flamingo and the debt he was in with the mob, aka the last people you want to be in debt with. 2 weeks before the Flamingo opened in December, Bernie Sindler, who worked at the resort and also had mob ties, claims that he saw Virginia and her brother in front of the building arguing about Bugsy allegedly being abusive towards her. Bernie would say that they had a very passionate relationship, but it was also very tumultuous and toxic. He also claims that he heard her brother say that he was going to kill Bugsy. And now we move to that fateful night, June 20th, 1947. That evening, during a show at the Flamingo around 8:30 p.m., a group of 8 men left their table at the showroom and moved really quickly around the resort, which is totally not suspicious at all. So they went to the security desk and then the front door and then the casino cage where they handle all the cash and chips. And then finally they went to the hotel's front desk. So meanwhile, Bugsy is at a nice dinner with his friend Alan Smiley, Virginia's other brother, Chick Hill, not the one that threatened to kill him, and Virginia's secretary, Jerry Mason. And afterwards, Alan drove everyone back to the Beverly Hills mansion that Bugsy leased for Virginia. And that place was, still is, really just absolutely breathtaking. It is so Beverly Hills, so over the top, so glamorous. So Alan and Bugsy relax on the sofa, a table lamp illuminating Bugsy's head. And they were just chatting, reading newspapers that they had just picked up from the restaurant, laughing, while Virginia's brother and secretary went upstairs. Now, Virginia was not home at the time, so she and Bugsy had had another fight, so she flew to Paris about a week or a week and a half before. And around 10:45 p.m., a sniper armed with a .30 caliber military carbine propped the barrel on a rose-covered trellis just outside, only 14 feet away from Bugsy. What came next was a frenzy of gunfire, shattered glass, and a lot of blood. So Alan, who was also on the sofa, survived and would later say, "I heard the glass shattering and I ducked. I don't know how many shots were fired, but when I looked at Siegel, I could see that he had taken most of them." 9 shots were fired that night. 5 of them missed, one hitting a statue atop a grand piano, another hitting an expensive painting. But 4 of them hit their target, and Bugsy Siegel was gone. Some neighbors, upon hearing the shots, ran out into the street because I guess let's run towards the gunfire. They saw a car speeding away towards Sunset Boulevard, and that was that. To this day, the murder has never been officially solved, but of course, there are theories abound. Was it Virginia's brother who allegedly said out loud that he wanted to kill Bugsy? Or was it the mob, angry about losing money to the Flamingo? And did Virginia have something to do with it? She left the house just days before. We begin with the Chicago outfit, and with Virginia, who may not be as innocent as she seems. Because as it turns out, Virginia Hill is actually a trusted messenger for the Chicago outfit. And according to some, Virginia didn't actually love Bugsy. She was like a double agent working for Chicago. With the outfit financing a competing resort in Las Vegas, Virginia was used to inform them on Bugsy and the Flamingo's dealings. So this theory proposes that Virginia learned all of Bugsy's habits, such as reading the newspaper every night, reported them, and then skipped town before the hit. Basically, not only did she know it was going to happen, but she could have helped set it up. Also, again, it's been suspected that Virginia was the one who embezzled the money from the Flamingo and not Bugsy. Now, as for the gunman, it's been suspected that they hired Eddie Cannizzaro. If I slaughtered that, I'm sorry. Now, he was a former errand boy of Jack Dragna, aka the Al Capone of LA. Eddie was an interesting guy, by the way. He had 30 cats, and at one point he was looking for mob funding to make a cat birth control serum. So, anyway, glossing over all of that, he actually confessed to the murder in his later years, saying, "It was a clean hit. I was picked because I knew Siegel and wouldn't make a mistake." See, I don't know if that tracks. Okay, clean hit, I wouldn't make a mistake, but you are 14 feet away, fire 9 shots, and 4 connect. Is that a clean hit? Anyway, now let's talk about Virginia's brother. Again, he was overheard literally saying that he wanted to kill Bugsy approximately 5 months before the murder. He was also a Marine, and Meyer Lansky had suggested that he thought the brother did it, but honestly, I would put zero stock into that, and I'll tell you why in a second. And that brings us to more mob theories. Who could have seen this coming? December 1946, the Havana Conference takes place in Cuba. And we've talked about it before, but this was a meeting between the US mob and Cosa Nostra, aka the Italian Mafia, and they need to discuss some business, some policies, and some rules. And obviously, a lot of high-ranking mobsters in this story, Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, etc., were in attendance. Bugsy Siegel was not. And allegedly, the fate of Bugsy was decided at this meeting. It is thought that mob leaders gave Jack Dragna the task of finding someone to do the job, which again could have been Eddie, or it could have been a World War II veteran named Robert McDonald. Now, apparently Robert was very troubled. He was an addict, he was a heavy gambler, and he owed the mob $30,000. And this theory proposes that Jack Dragna went to him and told him that his debt would be wiped clean if he carried out the hit. And Robert's probably thinking, okay, well, what choice do I have? He was also apparently an expert marksman, which again is the expert marksman in the room with us, but he was also an alcoholic, so do with that what you will. Anyway, apparently his entire family knew, but they kept it a secret until 2011-ish, I think. Now, why would you keep something like this a secret? Well, I'll tell you. So apparently, only 3 months after the murder, Robert's wife filed for divorce. And apparently he snapped and killed her and then himself with a .30 caliber carbine, aka the murder weapon. So I guess they felt like, what's the use now? He's gone. It's not like he can be brought to justice in any way. But I still feel like that is not something you keep to yourself, like especially an entire family. Like there's not one of you that talks too much. But there's another tale of what went down at the Havana Conference that is a little bit different. And it involves Bugsy's old friends Meyer Lansky and Mo Sedway. And a lot of this comes from an unpublished book written by Mo's widow, Beatrice, aka B. Now, B says that Mo was keeping records of the Flamingo's dealings and its crippling debt, and he was reporting all of this to Meyer Lansky. And by that point, Bugsy had quite obviously fallen out of favor with all of those mob guys. And this pissed Bugsy off, of course, and he conducted his own meeting without Mo and said, I'll have Mo shot, chop his body up, and feed it to the Flamingo Hotel's kitchen garbage disposal. And the thing about Bugsy is that he absolutely would have. And is it just me, or is Flamingo Hotel's kitchen garbage disposal weirdly specific? I feel like just garbage disposal would have been fine. So apparently Mo somehow learned about this, and at the Havana Conference, he got Meyer Lansky's approval to take Bugsy out first. And according to B, the shooter was Matthew Moose Panza, her lover. Get it, I guess. So B and Mo actually had a very progressive marriage for the time. They actually had an open marriage, and they told each other about all of their extramarital dealings. Which, I mean, good for them. So Moose comes to Las Vegas and allegedly does the murder. And imagine, okay, I know this is not like a funny story or anything, but imagine killing someone for your girlfriend's husband. I'm sorry, okay, I know that's terrible, but still. Anyway, B says that he then jumped into the car, drove to an alley in Santa Monica where he threw the barrel of the gun into the ocean and he threw the butt of it onto a rooftop. No matter which of these tales is the truth, the outcome was always the same. Bugsy Siegel was no more. Now again, amid all of the suspicion, there are a few things that we know for sure, and this is one of them. So immediately after the murder, Chick Hill calls police, as you would, but Alan Smiley, the friend that was with Bugsy on the couch, for some reason called Mo Sedway, who was at a phone booth just outside the Flamingo. Yeah, he called the guy who wanted to take Bugsy out. And only moments later, Mo and 2 associates walk into the Flamingo, announce that Bugsy is dead, and that they were now in charge. Now, why Alan would call Mo seems uncertain, but it turns out Alan is actually an investor in the Flamingo. You know, the casino where Bugsy was allegedly mishandling everybody's money. So now it's getting deep. So was he in on it? But then on the other side of the hand, I don't think he would be on the couch with him. Anyway, for all of the power and influence that Bugsy had, it seems like he had no real friends. And only 6 people showed up to the celebrity gangster's funeral. 6. Now, presently, the case has never been solved. No one has ever been charged with the murder of Bugsy Siegel. But we're left with a few possibilities. The mob, the brother, or the other mob. I feel like it had to be a mob hit. Like, if it walks like a duck and shoots people like a duck and then storms your casino like a duck, right? Plus, the mob are very good at covering things up. They would have made sure they were never caught. As for Virginia Hill, she passed away in 1966 at the age of 49 from an overdose of sleeping pills while she was in Austria. The Flamingo still stands today, but has obviously been modernized. And I think that is all I have for today. As many twists and turns as there are in this story, it's no surprise that it's still such a popular mob mystery even after all these years. Now, personally, I think the Mo said wave theory makes the most sense, but I really want to know how much Alan had to do with it, or was he led astray too? Tell me what you think. Anyway, I hope you liked my tale, and as always, if you have any story ideas, please feel free to comment them so I can see what you want to see, and with that, I will see you next week. Toodaloo!